Hello, my name is Matthew, and welcome to another edition of the SAP Business by Design Supply Chain Management. On this episode, we are going to be looking at product data. So, there are two types of product data. We have the material data, which is used to manage physical products, and we have the service data, which is used to manage all your services. So, services you procure or you render to customers. So, let's look at how to work with the relevant processes for each of these data. So for each product data, there are relevant processes that needs to be activated, like the logistics process, the procurement process, the planning process, the available to promise process, and the sales process, as well as the value process, which is used to determine the valuation method for each of the product data. All right, let's get started by going into the demo. So to get started, we need to navigate to the Product Data Work Center by going straight into the Work Center, Product Data Work Center. Right. So from the Product Data Work Center, we have the overview where we can see have access to where where we have the from the Product Data Work Center, we have the overview that oversees from the Product Data Work Center overview. We have the materials where you can manage the physical products. You can see all the physical products that are created. You can also create template or manage material templates. So we'll work with the material templates to create products. Then we have the services where you can see all the product services that have been created. So services that you render to either your customers or you procure can be managed there in this work center. And you can also create service templates for for adding. You can also use the service template to create many services. Okay, we also have entitlement if you want to manage entitlement, product categories for categorizing your product, then commodity classification, catalog commodities, and material classification, then also reporting. So from the common task, you can create a new material, create kits, create material template, services, service templates, entitlement, and upload commodity catalog and so on. Okay, um, from this episode, from what we're going to benefit from this episode is to know how to work with the material template and use the material template to create as many products as possible. Okay, so before we get into details of creating the material, so I want us to just take a brief. I want us to so materials in general are also called master data because when you have a record, a product or a record, they are used to manage. So materials generally are called master data, just like you have a master record of customer, a master record of suppliers, a master record of your warehouse, and even other master record. So materials and services are also called master record because they are what you use to identify the products that you sell or the services that you render or you sell as well. So we're going to take a look at how these materials are being managed by the system based on their relevant processes. So if we go into the materials, we'll see the report of all the materials that are currently in the system. So the list of the reports you're currently seeing based on the status is incomplete material. So if you look at the status tab, you see that this percentage shows the completeness of the material. So based on the relevant processes that are activated for this material, you will see the status percentage. So if I drill down to the status report, I can see materials that are created within the last 31st day, the materials that changes were made on within the last 31 days. And I can also see the report of all the materials that are created in the system, including some of the relevant processes that are activated from the column tabs. All right, so to create a new product, we just need to create a material from here. Just click on the new action button and select new material. And you're going to have a basic view. And you're going to have a basic view with the relevant processes not activated. So these are the relevant processes that I was talking about. So we have the purchasing relevant process, the logistic relevant process, the planning, the availability confirmation relevant process, the sales, and the valuation. Okay, so we're not going to use the material. We're going to create a template, then now use the template to create material. So let's go straight into creating a template. So I go back to the product data work center and click on material templates rather. So this is the material template we have in the system existing. So I'm just going to click on new to create a new template. So the first information we need to do is to enter the material ID, which is a compulsory field that we need to fill. So the material ID is a unique ID that is unique. Is a unique ID that is important when you are creating the material, because this is what the system is going to use to identify the material. So, but in this case, this is a template. This is a material template, and we also need a unique ID for the material template. So I'm going to use T0002. Okay, so we also have the relevant processes, and we look at how to activate each relevant processes one after the other as time goes on. So on the material description, I'm just going to put in add any description. So okay, so here we need to define the product category. We have the list of product category. I'm just going to pick any product trading material, and we need to assign a unit of measure. So I'm selecting each. So you can see list of unit of measures in the system. These are predefined, but you can also add more unit of measure based on your criteria from implementation tab. Business configuration. Okay, so we can go to each of the processes and activate these processes, but what I would like us to do is to click on the view all so we can have more access to the information in the system, the material information. Okay, so we have an extended view of the template, the material template that we want to work with. So here we can also have the unit of measure quantity conversion, where you can have one quantity and corresponding unit of measure. Okay, then you can also add image. So I'm going to click add. So I'll click on the browse button. So I'll click on the browse button and select my badge. So I'll click on OK and the image is uploaded. Okay, so we can also set the identify stock type to either batches or optional. And if you want this product to be batch managed, you can activate it. So on the unit of measure characteristics, you can define the unit of measure and their weighing scale, like the net weight, the gross weight, the net volume, the length, the weight, and so on. Also, you can define a barcode for this product. You can also set other language, like your local and foreign languages for this product. All right, so to get started with the relevant processes, we need to start with the purchasing. So the first thing we need to do is to set the status of the procurement process to in preparation. So after setting the status to in preparation, we now define the procurement unit of measure. Then we can add supplier notes, internal comments, and supplier part number if we want to. So after setting all this information, what we just need to do is to activate, and the procurement relevant processes is now active. So this whatever material you're creating with this template is going to be active for procurement. All right, so I can save as uh, as long as I'm making the changes. So once immediately you save, the template is created and the record is saved. So you can see I have no errors here. So let's go to the logistic relevant process. And what we need to do here is to add the inventory valuation unit of measure. So here I'm also using each for the valuation unit of measure. Now, very important is the logistics sites that are going to be working with. I mean, the sites that you, very important is to add sites and location that will be relevant for the logistics process for any material that you're creating from this template. So we have some sites that we already created, like the logistics site that we've been working with. So I'm going to select the logistics site. And from this information, we need to set the production group if this item is actually produced internally. We need to set the circle count if we at every point we want this product to be counted. Then we need to define the storage group for this item if we store them in bulk or we store them in non-bulk. So I'm just going to close or define. Okay, I'm just going to close. So after setting all this information, all we need to do is change the status to active, and the logistics process will be relevant, will be activated for, and the status is going to be active for the logistics site. All right, I'm going to pause the video and add other sites that is going to be relevant for this, for the template and on any product that we're creating from this template. So all warehouses are added and saved successfully. Now we need to go to the planning process. Next, we need to activate the planning relevant process. Okay, so for you to be able to plan for any item that you're going to be creating from this template, we need to set the unit of measure. So I'm going to use the usual each. Then we need to define the forecast group. So the forecast group is optional though, but you can set the forecast group. So I'm going to leave it blank. And also very important is the planning area. So the planning area are sites and location that you are going to be storing or managing this product from. So for each planning area, you need to know at what stage you want to plan, probably for production, probably for distribution, probably for procurement, and so on and so forth. So we need to set the planning area for each of these material that we'll be creating from the template. So I'm going to start adding by selecting the add row. So the first we need to do is to select the planning area, same as the logistic planning area. So before we activate, we need to set the procurement type, the planning group ID, and other relevant information here. So, but the important aspect of the planning is the procurement type. So if this planning area, if you're buying into this planning area, you need to define the procurement type as either external procurement, in-house production, internal procurement, or source of supply priority. So the external procurement means you are actually procuring from a supplier and the supplier is going to deliver to this planning area. If you produce the item internally, then you need to use the in-house production where the item is produced and stored in this planning area. Then if it's an internal procurement, it means you are actually um, issuing the goods from a location to this planning area, probably from a production floor to this planning area or from an external warehouse or a third party warehouse into this planning area. Then you might have a priority rule or you might set a supply rule for this planning area. So what we'll be doing is to select the external procurement because we are going to be buying from an external vendor into this planning area. I can also set the planning procedure to consumption based or demand driven. So consumption based is probably you have a project or the planning area is actually a project site where they need to be consuming these items, or it's demand driven where you need to fulfill customers' demand, or it's just a manual planning. All right, so I'm just going to select manual planning. So you can also determine the minimum days of supply or the minimum required shelf life. Okay. Also, you can decide to set the goods receipt processing time. So the goods receipt processing time is the time that it takes for your supplier or internal delivery to get to this planning area. So we have a list of time here that you can select from. Then you can also select the goods received days, minimum goods received days, the number of days it will take for them to deliver some of the items that you're going to produce from this template to this planning area. All right, so I'm going to leave all as default and change the status to active. Okay, so this planning area is now active. I'm going to save, very important. So I'm going to pause the video and add other planning area as well. So I've added all the items, all the planning area, and let me quickly run you through what I've done. So for the Amica 18, the Amica 18 procurement type is set to external. The third party warehouse is set to internal because we are going to be delivering from the BR Conventry, which is an in-house production warehouse that we have. And the external warehouse is an external procurement. All right, so let's go to the next relevant process, which is the availability confirmation. So I'm going to click on availability confirmation relevant process. So the availability confirmation relevant process is a process that depends on the planning relevant process. So for you to um, confirm the availability of any of the product or material that is going to be created from this template, you need to first understand the planning process for the items, for the product or materials. So there is what the system use to track the availability of each and every material, and it's called ATP, available to promise. So with the available to promise, the system will automatically determine how long it's going to take if the, I mean, when you are working with a sales order, or you are doing a direct delivery, or you are posting a goods issue transaction to probably another location, or you are performing a stock transfer or stock transfer order to another location, the system is going to use the ATP to determine the availability status of the material you are working with. So, and the way to do that is to use the availability confirmation relevant process. So we need to set the planning area as well for the availability confirmation relevant process. All right, so I'm still going to select the logistics as the first. So just to show you what it entails. So here we need to define the availability check scope. So here the availability check scope, usually you either set it to all released supply except PO, all released supply except PO in horizon, which is PO that you're expecting, or all supply except on firm receipts. You can set it to stock. You can set to stock and all receipts, and other scope that is relevant. So usually you want to check the availability scope of the available stock. So not all stock and receipt that you are expecting. So I'll set it to availability stock rather. So here you can set the automatic ship from determination. So the automatic ship from determination is another way the system helps you to track the availability uh, the availability status of all uh, the this is a way the system helps you check the availability status of all the planning area that you currently have the product available in. Like let's say you have the product in other locations aside from this location, and this location needs to fulfill a customer demand, then automatically the system, when this is not checked, the system is going to determine help you determine where to ship from to this location. Then you can also set the goods issue processing time as well for this location. So I'm going to leave it as a default. Then what I'm just going to do is to activate, and the planning area is active. So I'm going to pause the video and add other planning area for the availability confirmation. So the information are saved and successful, no errors. Next is the sales relevant process. So I'm going to click on the sales tab. Here we have the sales distribution chain, where we need to set the status of the sales organization that is going to be selling the products or materials that we are going to be creating from this template. So all this information are very important to managing the sales activities of the items or products or material that we're going to be creating from this template. All right, to get started with it, we need to first set the sales organization. So the sales organization are are defined from the organization management, the org unit. So when you're working with the organization unit, you need to define the functions of each organization unit as you need to define the functions from the organization unit. All right, so these are some of the sales organization, like for example, the sales, the BR inventory, the sales eating, the third party warehouse service and support. So because we didn't set the logistics organization unit or location as a sales organization, so here that's why it's not appearing here. So if we set it as a sales organization, because logistics is just meant to deliver products, so that's why you're not seeing it here. So I'm going to select the sales heating. Then we need to define the distribution channel, if it's going to be direct distribution or indirect. So I'm going to select direct sales or indirect sales. So there are other information that are crucial here, like the unit of measure, which is automatically defined. Then we have the item group. So we need to determine the item group. If this item is a product, is a normal product, or if it's a consumable, a spare part consumable, if it's a delivery based product, which I'm going to select. If it's a product for projects, if it's product that is meant for project base, or if it's a spare part that is used for advanced shipping or sales. All right, so it's just a product that we are going to be delivering. So you can set the minimum order quantity for this product, which I'm going to leave blank. Then if you want to allow discount for this product, or you want a reference price material for this product. Okay, so these are other reference material that you can use as a reference pricing. All right, so I'm going to the next tab, which is the warranty. So you can set a warranty status for this product, for all the product that you're going to be creating from this material, like the warranty start date and end date. You can also add internal comments. You can add sales notes. You can assign customer part number. You can assign customer part number to the material. Also, you can determine the sales price for these materials that you're going to be creating from this template. All right, so the relevant informations are already entered, so I'm going to activate this. Okay, so you should see now we need to set the next relevant process, which is the valuation. I'm going to pause the video and set other distribution channel before we go to the next step, which is the valuation relevant process. So all information are filled. So the third information are filled. So next is the valuation tab. So very important is also the unit of measure. I'm going to select each. The business resident, the valuation level type is the business resident. Now we need some very important information that needs to be filled here. So if I click on the add row, we need to set the business resident, the company first. It's going to be Amica Holding, Amica Limited. Then we need to set the business resident, which is the headquarter London. All right, so here we need to set the account determination group. So the account determination group is going to be used to determine how the costing of the material is going to be determined. So here I'm going to select finished product because we are actually setting a finished product. We are actually working with a finished product. So we need to set the costing method, which is a moving average or a standard. So I'm using moving average. So this costing method is going to be used to calculate the cost, the actual cost of any of the material that is going to be created from here. So we have some set of books. These are based on accounting standards. We have the gap, which is generally acceptable accounting principle. Then we have the IFRS um, standards, which is also an international financial record standard. Okay, our set of book is automatically assigned based on the standard. Our set of book is automatically assigned based on the business configuration for financial information that is already set up in the system. So the first is the generally acceptable accounting principle, which is the gap, and we have the IFRS, which is internationally also International Financial Reporting Standard (IFRS), which is also another set of book that is generally acceptable. All right, you can also edit this information by you can edit the cost by setting the costing type, and you can set it to periodic FIFO, estimated cost, planned cost, and you can also set the usual cost based on the currency that you are working with. All right, so I'm just going to click cancel. I'm not going to edit that, and what we need to do is to activate the valuation. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video once again and add other valuation business residents. Okay, so the records are saved. We only have two business residents, the Amica Limited and the Innovat. Okay, so here the next is to set the taxing information for all the items we're going to create from this template. So we need to set the product tax classification. Okay, I'm just going to add row. We need to define the region, which is Germany. Then we need to set other region, which is Berlin for me. Then the tax type is going to be value added. The tax rate is the standard tax rate, which is going to be set by from the business configuration. And if this tax type is going to be tax exempt, 0, you need to determine, set the reason for the exemption. Okay, so if you want to receive withholding tax for, or you want to pay withholding tax for this product when you procure them, you need to set the withholding tax information. So I'm going to click on add row. Then we need to set the country region the same way we set the product tax classification. So the country region is going to be different from the country region we have, which is the Germany. So because we are going to be, if we are buying the product from another country, then we need to set the country region where we procure the item and where the withholding tax is going to be deposited. Okay, so we need to set the tax type. Okay, so I'm going to set this. So I'm going to save, and voila, the information are saved successfully. Okay, so next is tab is where we track the changes that are made from this template. And if we have other product attachments, we can add them here. Like, for example, we already have the image that we already uploaded from the general tab, which is this. Okay, so all well and good. We perform the last save, and you can see we don't have any errors. So that is that. So if I click on the close tab, I can go back to the product data work center to see the record, the template record we already created. Templates. Okay, so this is the template that we created, and this is the category that the template belongs to. This is the name. You can also edit the template after selecting. You can see all the relevant processes are already activated. You can view all. To have more information for the item. Okay, so you can make changes to any of the relevant processes as well. All right, so that is that. Let's go and create a new some items from the template. So to create a product or to create materials from the product data, let's go to the product data overview. From the product data overview, I can go to the material template, and for us to create I mean, for us to create some materials from for us to create some materials from this template, we need to select the template, then click on create from template. So if I click create from template, the I'm going to be prompted to enter the number of materials that I need to create from here. So here I just need to select, let's create 3 materials. So if you choose to create preparation status, this process of the material created. So we can choose to create in preparation. So mind you, if you choose to create from in preparation, it means the material are going to be created, but they will not be relevant. They will not be active for relevant processes. But if you click the create with source data, it means it will actually create those material and activate them just the way you've created them from the template. So the create with in prepare I mean pre- the create with preparation status gives you the flexibility to make changes to some of the relevant processes. You can also make changes to some of the relevant processes with create with source status, but it's faster to create with source status where the processes are already activated for you. So I'm going to click OK, and the informations are going to be displayed for us. So we can change the product category here. So let's say I'm creating for IT equipment. I can define the material ID for the 3 items that I want to create. Then the description, let's say um, I'm creating 3 laptops. I'm creating 3 laptops. So I'm just going to pause the video to enter those information. So I already filled this information. So the material ID is manually assigned, the description. So I've changed the product category, which should cascade down. Then you can set other information like the identified stock, the net weight, the purchasing status. Like you see already, the status is I mean, the purchasing relevant status is already active based on the what we selected while creating the template, while creating from the template. Then you can add organization data like the availability confirmation, the planning area for supply planning, the distribution chain, and the company business resident. So for each relevant process, this is the general tab. So if you want to see other tabs, you can go to the logistics tabs and you can see these are all the information that are created, that are going to be created from the logistics for each of the product that we are creating. And the same thing applies to planning. You can see all this information are entered based on the template configuration. And we also have the availability confirmation, same, the availability check scope, and we also have the sales relevant process and also the evaluation. So these are all the information that are going to be applied when we create all this item. So if I click on save, let's see if we have any errors. So you can see all entries are saved successfully. You can apply to all items and it's going to be applied. And so if I click on save and close, every entry is created. So let's go back and see the records that have been created. So if we go back to the material work center and let's search for all materials. So you can see we now have the HP Pavilion T650, T660, and T670. All are created from the template. Okay, so we can click on the view all button or click the edit button to see more information that are created. You can see the logo is captured, the purchasing tab is active, the logistic relevant process is also active, the planning is also active, the availability confirmation is also active, the sales, the valuation, the taxes, every information are copied from the template. Okay, so if you want to set this item or material as a template, you can do that. That is that for the material creation. Okay, I'm going to stop this session now, and in the next session, we're going to be looking at how to work with product services. Thank you, and bye for now.